Yes, every time you hear that music, the live band that we have here for our newest episode, episode 23 with the Local Lifestyle Podcast, all brought to you by TLC Properties. This one is called No Drama When You Drink Java with Big Momma. Try to say that 10 times fast. I'm also here with my new co-host. His name is Lance Lloyd, Community Outreach and Public Relations Professional.
We are here. Still looking for a nickname, but we're going to go with Lance Lloyd for the time being.
We're going to figure it out. We also do have today's guest. I've got Lyle Foster here, owner, operator of Big Momma Coffee and Espresso Bar. So this one's going to be fun. We had a little bit of time to talk to him while we were setting everything up here. Once again, the Local Lifestyle Podcast is connecting you to the creatives, businesses, and community opportunities that better your life. Insight into local living. It is the Local Lifestyle Podcast. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Local Lifestyle Podcast and anything else that we tag ourselves on Facebook. We are here actually live, and you're going to be able to hear it because they are making, sounds like a frozen espresso right now. I think that's what it is. Lyle Foster. The man, the myth, the legend. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day on this beautiful weather that we have going on here in Springfield, Missouri. How you doing?
No drama. Big Mama, we got your Java. Hey, no drama. Big Mama, we got your Java. No drama. Big Mama, we got your Java. Hey.
Now that is the, you know what, I think you deserve.
I like that.
We didn't even know that.
We deserve a round of applause. That's what you're getting for that.
What an intro. I think that's the best intro.
That's the best intro that I think we've had on this podcast.
Well, you set that up.
You're welcome.
And I like that tagline. I wonder if that's available.
You know, we can sit down and talk more after this. And that's the fun part. Thanks for that compliment, because we like to make sure that we have fun with this podcast as well, being entertaining and, you know, informational as well. So also, I mean, this is a big podcast episode. We've got you, Lyle. And I've got Lance Lloyd here, my PR guy. This is our first actual episode getting out in the public.
Yes. Last time was just a little intro and getting to know me. But, yeah, we're excited to have you, Lyle. I mean, Local Lifestyle Podcast, Big Momma's Coffee, it screams local lifestyle.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to this. I can tell that you all are keep it real. I like to keep it real. I like to keep it dropping and popping. And so we're not going to have this stuffy and starchy. We're going to engage where people live. In real life, real community, real neighborhood stuff. I like that.
Absolutely.
And yeah, you are a man of many hats. That is for sure. Did as much research as I can. I like to dig deep and try to find out things. You know, number one, we agreed on something. You're from where? Where are you from? Little history lesson.
Chi-Town, South
Chi-Town,
Side. So came to Springfield from the beautiful Windy City, Chi-Town, that city on the lake.
That is.
And, of course, looking at the temperatures today, I hope when this is broadcast, it's going to be
warmer,
a lot warmer, and things will be blooming. But I can imagine if it's like this in Springfield,
it's way colder.
We can only imagine what it's like in the shack.
Oh, negatives, negative 45 wind chill.
Yeah, well, I'm going to ask you this. Have you ever had some times walking across that Michigan Avenue Bridge downtown and those buildings and that wind just comes in?
Oh, knock you over.
It's like a
Chicago
tunnel like
River.
that.
Oh,
yeah.
It feels like the coldest walk on the planet. And people are like huddled over. Of course, a lot of them got fur coats, but they're like huddled over. You got that. Yeah, you got the right move.
Yeah,
and you're thinking, if I can just get to the, can I try to get to the train? Just get to the train.
If I could just get to Ogilvy, that's where I'd always take to get back to the burbs. And no, there's a hunch because you're trying to keep all the heat. All the heat right there. It's a brutal city. I mean, as far as weather goes. But
so
it is
normally
beautiful.
here, I don't get to pull out my parka, my Russian fur hat.
Everybody else does.
Until it gets about 0, so it might be coming out on Sunday.
Yeah, it's going to get wicked down here. But Lyle, I mean, that's awesome. We have that in common. I'm from the Chicagoland area. I think I bring that up a lot on these podcasts when, you know, introducing myself to somebody. The food, got to give it to you. The food, it smells amazing in here. I'm probably going to get a sandwich to go for my dinner. Yes. And maybe some soup. You had a soup of the day, I think I saw it on Facebook.
It was. We had 2 soups. I had one of them. It was dope, white bean chili and cream of asparagus. Big Momma's has over 42 homemade soups by our maestro chef, Joe Terry.
Oh, man, I love you.
Wow.
This is the best podcast already.
In history, would you say it?
And it's not even, no, but in history, definitely, of the podcast. Now, being a man of many hats, being from Chi-Town, Southside, you have Missouri State University is on one of your repertoire of just things that you've done. So, I mean, I could pull out a scroll, it seems like right now,
No,
of things.
please,
No?
no,
Okay, we don't have
please.
time for that. But you are a assistant professor at Missouri State University, correct?
That's correct.
All right, he's repping the Bear gear right now,
Yeah,
too.
go Bears.
And,
It's a game tonight.
oh, okay.
Go Bears.
The Bears. Sociology is that I actually took some of that in college. I got a bachelor's degree in psychology, and then I gave up. I didn't want to go any
That's
farther.
our sister science, but we won't.
Yeah.
We'll forgive you.
Okay, thank you. I do appreciate that. It means a lot coming from you. We are, there's a lot, the Racial Equity Task Force is something that you're also on, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that one? And Lance is very smart within things like you guys can have that conversation. I'm all about the food.
I don't know about that. He just made that up. Honestly, so. Yeah, you've done a lot of stuff. I mean, it's Black History Month. You're on this task force. What does that look like?
Sure. Well, of course, Black History Month is very significant. And throughout my life, growing up as a kid, at those times, it was a chance to kind of hear about those significant individuals who had made amazing contributions to the history of African Americans in our country. And it was kind of like, this 1 month of the year. As our society has progressed, we have matured. And of course, I think that's generally an awakening going on in our nation. Then we certainly get a chance and opportunity to celebrate individuals throughout the year. But of course, there's still a time when there's cultural events, programs, speakers come to town. In fact, this evening, I think the university has a guest speaker talking about the Tulsa Massacre. So when we're finished with this, I'm going to tune into that. I'm looking forward to that. But the city of Springfield, right at the height of the George Floyd murder and everything that's taken place, they passed a resolution on racism. And we've been, I guess I would say, assembling a group of concerned citizens throughout the community, looking at what more can we do besides just putting things on paper. How can we take our concerns to action? Springfield is a sizable city in the terms of we're not so big that we can't solve our problems and address our needs. And so we really talk to our community leadership about, can we take some leadership in trying to address issues of equity and diversity and inclusion. And so coming out of that has really been the mayor's initiative on race and equity. So this is a brand new initiative, and we're looking at probably a 1 year period of time to identify, and I hate to use this language, strategic, but really to identify goals that the city can have to make this a welcoming and inclusive place for all people. I think when we're being candid, the Ozarks has not always had the most welcoming reputation in terms of racial and ethnic and even sexual diversity. And so one of the things we're looking for the commission is, how do we find out what are the needs of our, people coming to our city? Obviously, the city's changing, the people who have always lived here, and how can we address some of these things with tangible programs and initiatives and citizen involvement? So that's kind of the quick intro on that.
I think that's what taking action looks like. It sounds like it's much needed and very important. And you mentioned looking at historical figures when you were growing up and Black History Month and the importance of that in your life. I could only imagine that young people are seeing you and thinking, wow, that guy's making history.
Well, I don't normally think of myself that way, but I appreciate that. My mother was a school teacher, and she taught in the time of segregation in our nation. So most of her career, she actually taught in an all-black school with children from first grade through 12th grade, because that was the only school that we had. And she basically instilled in me this notion of, instead of being part of the problem, seek to be one of the people who want to be part of the solution. And so for some reason, I've just always gotten involved. I've always been concerned. Sometimes people use the word community activist, and I think I just say, no, I prefer the term community entrepreneur. Just caring, just wanting community to be better, really being intentional about quality of life initiatives, because at the end of the day, where you live, your home, your community, that should be something that's very significant and that you enjoy. And I think Springfield, the Ozarks, has a lot of very positive things going for it. And so my interest in terms of how can we make it better, because I've been here longer than I thought I'd be. So as long as I'm here, I want to be engaged in this community. It's a lot of great, wonderful people in the Ozarks. When I first got here, and you might appreciate this, brother, since you're from the Chi. But they would say, doing all right today. And I'm like, what's this doing all right stuff? Because, in Chicago, we had kind of moved past, people could say anything was wrong with them, and, you didn't even notice because we had to keep it moving. But I
Fast-paced.
recognize that, yeah, we're still a community that cares, that's concerned, that's engaged. And I think we can make things better for people of all backgrounds.
Absolutely. It seems like community development is always in process, whether it's in municipalities, personal, entrepreneurship, businesses. It seems like it's always happening here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it certainly is. And of course, I'd love to say that when I talk about, community engagement, it's not always only about the issues of race and inclusion and diversity. I'm also concerned in terms of our social and economic concerns, addressing our poverty issue, our issue in terms of people having shelter. So I know y'all might not want to go off on these tangents, but I'm just on this page. We describe ourselves as the wealthiest nation on the planet. So I just, for the life of me, cannot fathom why every child does not have a meal.
It's one of those, like, how about we prove it?
Yeah, I want to make sure every child can eat and every person has a roof or shelter. So I think those should just be some of the basic, standards
Absolutely.
that we have as a society. So I think in terms of quality of life and community engagement, it means that everybody is valued and cared for. When I encounter people that we use in today's word of unsheltered, this is the thought that often occurs to me. When this person was in the 5th grade and that teacher said to them, "What are you going to be, when you grow up?" Do you think any of them said, "I want to be homeless, I want to live on the street, I want to live in the viaducts and in the forest preserves"? I don't really believe that. So something happened, some system did not work properly. Something failed them in many cases. And I understand we have mental health and other concerns, but I'm always intrigued on how do we bring out the best in everyone and have that kind of a community. So that's part of, I guess, where I come from positionally in terms of why I want to be involved. In terms of just dismissing communities. And we say, whether it's the north side or, particular areas of our town, almost like there's no hope, we write it off. I don't believe any neighborhood, any community, any person deserves to be written off.
Absolutely right. And you talk about, putting a roof over someone's heads. I mean, one of our missions at TLC Properties, I would say, is finding everybody a home if we can. Yeah. It's a slow process sometimes, but it's definitely a mission of ours.
How do we give you what you need?
Exactly.
We're not out to be the highest place, in town, but it's, we want to have affordable, safe communities that we can put people in. We have, it's apartment style living, which is a little bit different. Me on the network leasing side, I go around and go to each property and, I meet a lot of people and it's picking their brain. Like, what are you looking for? Like, how can I make, it's almost like a car salesman in a joking fashion. We're like, what do I have to do today to put you in this vehicle? But their wants and needs. Some of it's school district, where families located. Some of them are, people in our 55-plus community that are moving to town to be closer to their kids and their grandchildren. And there's just a lot of questions. Maybe they're not from here. Maybe they're from, Rogers or something like that, Chicago, and they don't know much about it. But my job is to be educated enough on the city and to kind of have that background information to hopefully guide them and push them in the right direction. But no, I agree 100% what you said earlier that there are bigger issues out there that I think kind of get brushed away, because it's a lot easier to do that. Like instead of facing the reality that, when you see that, like coming from Chicago, the Chicagoland area, when you get off the train, there was always homeless people, and sometimes you get weathered to where, you ignore them because it's that's just a part of that's everyday life to where you start thinking in your brain, well, what did you do to get here? Yeah. And that's the worst. Like you said this earlier, that's a bad mind frame to have.
Well, you're getting off the train and you're going to work and then you're working and then you're going home and getting back on the train and you forget.
It's just every day.
There's these mission-based problems that we need to think deeper about. And if more people thought like you do, I think we'd be a better place off, honestly.
Yeah. So that's awesome. And that's when I was doing the research, being able to sit down, meet you and talk to you. And it's great to know that in our awesome city here, Springfield, Missouri, we have somebody like you that is going above and beyond to push this and make these things be known, because there's people that could just sit there and talk about it all day. We can all sit here and talk about how we can be a better person and what we can do for our community. You're actually going out there and doing it. And that's huge. That gives me hope. And I think, hopefully some of our listeners that listen to this and, check out the video we pop out there, hopefully that helps them, because I think we need more people like you. And like Lance said earlier, you might have a group of people out there that look up to you and you don't even know it. And that's a great, that would have to be a great feeling to have.
Well, I think you're kind of hitting on what I would describe a very important point, and that is our society in particular is really built on the notion that people are engaged and we are invested. Mm-hmm. When people are no longer invested in our community, society will begin to disintegrate. And so we still, to the extent that we believe in this idea of the American dream, we still have to make it attainable. We still have to make it possible, and some people have to get it. We can't just point to the 3 exceptions and say, you can get it too, but people can never get it, because then you're going to have dissent, you're going to have unrest, and you're going to have people basically saying, you lied, and we're going to get it a different way. And so, if you really are looking to have what we might describe as a civil society, we've got to figure out how people can get housing that's affordable, how they can have jobs that pay the bills.
Oh yeah, that's a big part of it.
And so that this actually accomplishes what we lead people to believe. You go to school, you get a university education, et cetera, then you can take care of your family or yourself or whatever. So those things have got to be possible. And when they're not, we got to figure out what's not working.
Tweak it.
Yeah, you got to tweak it.
Tweak it a little bit. Now, real quickly, doing some of the research. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. New role, you got to administrating about $34 million for Federal CARES Act funds for Greene County and the whole COVID-19. Now, I'm over talking about Corona. I mean, I had it back in August, but this is something different, like $34 million. And being able to kind of help delegate, would that be a proper word to use?
Delegate, coordinate, collaborate.
Here we go.
Delegate, coordinate, collaborate.
I wish I had more beats
need a
on this
DJ.
thing. That's what I need.
Yeah,
we're gonna come
next
back.
time we're just gonna do a beat.
We're gonna
podcast.
make an album here.
I love that.
That's what we're gonna do.
I'm all about that.
Big Mama's jams. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like Jock Jams will bring that back.
We got the Java, that Big Mama. But
That's too good.
Really, it was what I at the time thought about as almost a once in a lifetime
That's huge.
opportunity. And of course, this came because of, unfortunately, the COVID-19 pandemic that has, had unbelievable impact on our nation. And so when Congress passed the CARES Act, one of the ways that some of those funds came down was to all of the states, and those states gave the monies to the county. So Greene County got an allocation of, just as you described, $34.4 million to help address, the devastation in the community related or as a result of the COVID pandemic. And they were looking for somebody to help figure out a plan, because county government obviously isn't about, public safety. It's about the health department, collecting taxes. So a lot of administrative and more political things that we think about. Greene County has not historically been a nonprofit organization that delivers, direct service. That's not who they are, and because they're not created to be that. But at the same time, we've never been in a situation like this. And so when this opportunity came about, I was just like, this is significant. And if you think about what you all are talking about, it's also community. And that's part of my passion, community-based. And so we had to come up with a plan to how to allocate, distribute, give these funds to nonprofits, healthcare organizations, political subdivisions, educational institutions, and small businesses. And so it really was an honor to be a part of that process. And I can't give enough props to the hardworking, dedicated staff at Greene County as well. And then I had a chance to engage with many wonderful people in the community who are working in these organizations trying to make our community better and get through the devastation of the pandemic.
Wow, I don't know about you, but I'm picking up on some future political vibes over here.
Yeah, maybe we can run for something.
Yeah.
And he's going to be dropping an album. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'd vote for him.
You just
I'd
keep
vote.
adding hats on the hats on the hats.
Big Mama for Congress.
There we go.
There it is. Do you think with everything, and I mean, we're about at a year mark now, and we just said this earlier before we started recording, do you think we're going to go back to normal? But here, personally, I'm just going to say this. I don't think anything will ever be normal again. I think we will get back to as close as we can to normalcy, but it's now not mutated. That's a bad word to use. It's changed. There's an evolution to it, to where we now we've realized that we can grow through something as horrible as this, like the meetings, being on Skype or Teams and stuff like that. It just showed us that, once again, if we're persistent, we can get through it.
Our adversity, I would say.
Well, I'll just ask both of you this. Do you ever watch television or whatever, Netflix or something, Amazon, and you see a movie or a show in which they show people just packed together, or people, and all of a sudden it just occurs to you,
The
like,
L.
Yeah.
That's what it makes me think of.
like, how did they, we can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And so for me, a lot of people said we don't want to go back to normal. I actually think it's going to be very difficult to go back to what we would
Define
typically
as
think
normal.
about as normal. I think some of that is wrong or unfortunate. I think some of that could be a positive. I think people have learned now that they can be very flexible in terms of their workspace. Many large corporations and companies, they actually felt, we can't trust our employees to work from home. They won't put in a full day's work. And then in some cases, they're finding people are working harder.
Or more productive, yes.
Yeah, and more productive because they're not standing at the.
Yeah,
I was about to say the coffee counter. I can't say that. I can't say that. I can't say that. They're not staying at the water cooler, just kind of mindlessly gossiping about the office. And I think some people actually appreciate being able to take care of their families, work from home, et cetera. You're not spending all that time commuting. That they're actually almost demonstrating to the employer, we can. People can live in different locations. So my point is, I think there are some examples like that. One of the revelations for me, and you all know I love talking about cities. Cities like New York and Seattle and many other places, they closed down streets because everybody wanted to walk. And in some cases, they have decided to keep some of those side streets closed and just turn them to pedestrian spaces. And I'm not going to call it a brainstorm, Lance, but it occurred to me one day, I said, why does every street have to go somewhere? Why does every street have to go out the neighborhood and go to a arterial street and take you to the expressway? Why can't some streets just be
A street,
Especially when you're on a grid.
like a block party.
block party? Or for the kids to hang out, just for neighbors to put chairs.
Social atmosphere.
Farmer's market.
Yeah, and get people back out into the communities. And so my point is, you start saying, we can do some things differently from how we've done them before. People having Zoom dates and Zoom happy hours. I don't know if that's good or bad.
I don't know if I look better on a Zoom camera or not than I do in normal life, but
Well, as long as you put that screen up and you put the backdrop up.
put a filter on it. There you go.
And someone was telling me they were taking Zoom tours of Paris. And so, the tour guide is live and you're paying X amount of money and you just go to all these places from your living room. I mean, that's like 10 people on the Zoom call.
We do that. We did that with when the first lockdown happened. We would do virtual tours with people.
Yeah, absolutely.
To show them the apartment. Because the thing was, we actually still did pretty good. We were selling and leasing apartments, but going through virtual tours. And I was a property manager at the time, and I was like, man, this is still working because you're still giving the spiel.
Yeah, and you don't have to have a pandemic to not want to get up off your couch
That's me every week.
and look at an apartment. If you don't want to go out and see it in person, we have that now. And we could have had it before.
Sell TLC. Sell it.
Check it out, tlcproperty.com.
That's right.
There you go. So I think there's some things that we're going to look at very differently. I mean, I think restaurateurs, business people are going to say, hey,
It's changing the game.
I want to build this place. I might want to build this apartment complex, but how will it be? How will it consider a pandemic situation? Like if I was opening up another coffee shop, I got to have a big patio. I want to drive through because
Now you can have it.
because suppose we have something similar 10 years from now.
You'll be
An
you'll be okay.
earthquake type
Yeah.
thing.
So
when
you
build
start
buildings.
you start thinking about
Great
things
minds
you haven't
think
thought
alike,
about
Lance.
before. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think it's changing the game. Unfortunately, depending on if you're a developer or not, a lot of offices are knowing that they're actually taking away some of that leasable space. They're saying we don't need 100,000 square feet of office space because half of our people are going to work from home, or maybe you come in for 2 days, you work. So 50,000 square feet will settle it because half are working today and half are working tomorrow. We don't need everybody in here again. So in those ways, it's going to change. We might not need another 100-story skyscraper again.
Yeah.
Because people can work all over the country.
I'll still go back home to the Sears Tower. That's right. I said it, the Sears
Willis,
not the
but-
Willis. I don't call it that.
Well, yeah, I mean, the urban sprawl, that was the thing back in the days.
Yes.
You can't go out anymore. You have to start going up.
Yeah.
And
Things are getting impacted.
Exactly.
And I know you all are seeing it. A lot of people are moving to Springfield from all over the country because they can work
Just talked about this
with
on
these
the way over.
companies right here. And they can find the quality of life. They can still get those
affordable.
salaries. It's affordable. And it's changing a lot of dynamics.
Very true. Now, part of that dynamic, like we spoke about all throughout this podcast, is one of the other hats that you're wearing right now. Big Momma's Coffee and Espresso Bar. Just if you didn't know, that's 2017 East Commercial Street, Springfield, Missouri. They do have a Facebook page. You do have a website that has all the pictures, menus, even a little background. So one of these things that you're doing, and this also goes back to community. You're a small business owner and a local business, and being on historic C Street, Commercial Street. That's also something to be prideful in itself. That while cruising down here, throughout everything, you're seeing a lot of these smaller shops go down. And it's unfortunate to see, but it's just the way of the world right now. You're still going. You're kicking. Still smelling amazing in here. I mean, and one of our coworkers, Chelsea, she's one of our graphic designers. She raves about, she's like, oh, if you go, I'm like, we're going late today. I can't bring you back any food. I will eat it. But I mean, Big Mommas it's a big name in town. No pun intended. Plenty pun. Sorry.
Well, thank you, man. Honestly, and thank you, Chelsea. But really, Big Mommas, I would just say we've got some amazing and some really loyal customers. But I would be quite candid when the shutdown order came last spring, and you alluded to this. It's almost been a year that this whole thing started. It was a really weird time, and we were kind of closed down for a couple of weeks while with the shutdown orders. Like, do we open? Do we close? Are people safe? I mean, there was just a lot of unknowns. And I remember having this really ache in my soul thinking, what is going to be the future of Big Mommas, of Commercial Street. Commercial Street is really a weird way to understand it, but it's like a small town main street, even though it's in the city. It's in a full, because we definitely have a merchants group that meets every week. We know each other. We care for each other. We know the loft dwellers. It's really every notion of a community.
It's fantastic.
And so we know who's struggling. We know who's, we support each other.
Do you know Joe Pepe?
Of course I know Joe
Now,
Pepe.
me and Joe boys, by the way. I've known him for quite a long time.
You're kidding
and
me.
He used to work at Trops with me.
Yes.
But I've known him for a very long time. I've been here about 10 years. And so
Wonderful.
I figured when you said that and we drove
of
by,
course,
I said,
good people.
that's
We
Joe.
know all about merchants, and we try to support them because we know it's not just a platitude, but small business is really the backbone.
Oh, yeah.
of this nation. And I think Springfield is a community that loves its local business.
That's how it was
And
built.
on the north side, people really like having business people that have, because sometimes I think they feel like everything new and shiny is on the south side. So when they see people invest and they see businesses open, they really appreciate that. And we've met some of the greatest people on the planet that have supported us, and we are very grateful for that.
Now, a quote that I found that I really loved, so it was something I wanted to bring up. It was an interview back in 2018 with the Springfield Business Journal. And quote, I guess you said,
Maybe.
you can, we'll find out here when I'm done. You can see folks from millionaires to penniers inside Big Mommas, and we all get along. You said, I often say I feel Commercial Street is where Jesus would hang out because it's one of the most diverse places in the city.
So, brother, I did say that, and I believe it's the most diverse place. And so I was saying, if the good Lord, traveled down to Springfield,
He'd come kick it at Big Mommas, get a cup of Java.
He wants to be where everybody from every walk of life is hanging out. And literally, there have been times we've seen people who have, national political office to a person that's on the sidewalk be in this store at the same time. And I can't tell you how much that means, because it really is all walks of life. And sometimes people will just say, is that so-and-so over there? So, like, yeah. But then you've got, the people with no name that are in the same space.
It's awesome to see that and hear that, because just by you and your personality and all that, you've got many hats. So, you have all different lives of people coming through here. It just kind of makes sense. As I was always, do unto others as you want done to you. Treat people with respect. Hopefully you get it back. Not always. That's just, that's how I was raised. That's how I've always felt.
I understand.
But, that's great. And I'm so glad that everything's still kicking here and going good for you. Now, just for the people listening that are in Springfield, Missouri, or maybe traveling through, some outsiders coming through just on a mini vacation, getting out while they can. You are open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, correct?
Yes, we are. We're open 7 days a week, and we have been since our inception. I would like to make just a quick little statement, if it's okay.
Yeah, of course.
When Big Mommas opened, I had read the Howard Schultz, creator of Starbucks, that book, The Third Place. And that really resonated with me, that everybody, and this ties into TLC, everybody's got three places: your work, your home, and then you got a third place that you spend your time in.
Hang out.
Yeah, some people spend it at a bar stool, some spend it in the park, and some spend it somewhere else.
Coffee
and
house.
so really his notion, he had seen how people engaged in coffee shops in Europe. And in Europe, people go 3-4 times a day. It's just part of the way of life. And they get that afternoon espresso, they get the evening espresso. And he was trying to create that element. And so for me, Big Mommas was a place that we wanted people to feel like they were more than a number, that we cared for them, we loved them, and we were concerned about their lives, and they were welcome to be here. and we wanted to be warm, comfortable, and we wanted the food and the drinks to be off the chain. so that was the goal. And so when we see people come from all those backgrounds, to me it just says it's working and that we care for the community. So it wasn't just like, how fast can we get you out the door? Because all we want is your $4.43.
Hang out.
No, we want to know how you're doing today and happy birthday. And hey, so-and-so's birthday. It's kind of like the cheers.
You said it earlier.
Except not a bar, but a coffee shop.
Because you said earlier, you said when everybody knows, and I was going to finish it with your name because it said doom, doom, doom. I play that at the bar all the time when I help them out. But you actually just took some of the words out of my mouth where I wanted to ask, during the crazy times, where's the motivation? You just answered that. So I'm going to scratch that off my list here. But, it's so awesome to you taking time out of your day. And for all of you that don't know, on the day of this recording, it is beautiful and sunny outside. Not really at all. It's icy.
We barely got here. Yeah. It was treacherous. It wasn't that bad, but it was freezing.
And just once again, just kind of giving you some awesomeness. I mean, you're taking time out of your day to sit down with us and do this podcast. And, your personality is amazing. I hope people listening to this get to know you a little bit more. If they don't already, get out from the rock that you're living under and just figure it out. Come to Big Mommas. And once again, that's 2017 East Commercial Street in Springfield, Missouri.
Well, it's 217 East Commercial, but it's okay.
217. I'm sorry, Chicago.
Okay.
But you also do have like 2 more other locations. Those small, are they still? Those ones still going? Is the one the Judicial?
The Judicial. That's the one that we have now.
Okay.
The Judicial Center. So we love the kiosk there.
If you're there, I don't want to know why. Just go get some good food. You have an opportunity as well. And once again, there is a Facebook page for Big Momma's Coffee and Espresso Bar, as well as a website. So if you're ever curious, either pop in. Clearly they'll welcome you with open arms and hook you up with some delicious drinks and eats. And if you need to, get to the website and their Facebook page, give them a like, and make sure you follow them because, like even today, the reason we knew you were open is you posted on Facebook saying that you got this delicious soup that's going to be here all day. So, and I thought you said, what was the first one? It was dope what?
We had the white bean chili.
The dope white bean chili.
And the cream of asparagus.
All right.
Oh,
spiced it up.
I want to know, though, I know Big Mommas as a Martin Lawrence movie.
I was waiting for you to ask this.
My question is, are you Big Momma?
No, Big Momma is really what we call a welcome spirit that kind of guides the place. But it really is a tribute to the women in all of our lives, whether those were our moms, our muddies, our nanas, our grandmother, our sister, who really encouraged us, engaged us, depending on your background, may have prayed for you. When you fell down and scraped your knee, they put a Band-Aid and kissed you and said, baby, you're going to be okay.
And you felt better.
Yeah, and you felt better. You were healed.
Yeah.
And when you fell flat on your face, they said, baby, it's going to be all right. And they had some off-the-chain cooking as well. And, you wanted to be in that kitchen. And so it's not a particular, ethnic or racial background. It's whatever background you have. Who is that woman who played that role for you? So this is just a shout out. And so my mother, the Jacqueline sandwich is in her honor, which is our top sandwich. But really, my Aunt Cleopatra, who lived in Washington, D.C., she was kind of in my family, the Big Mama. Mm-hmm. She made that corn. I'm going to make y'all hungry in a minute. She made that cornbread. And she just had to put a little hint of sugar, so you had a little bit of sweet finish in it. And then she could fry some chicken that felt like the wings were just about to fly through the kitchen. And the peach cobbler, we have an expression in the South to say that you put your foot in it, which meant like it is past delicious.
Yeah.
So, we would just look forward. No matter what she fixed, it looked like she put some magic powder in it. So that was our Big Mama. But everybody has somebody. And so it was also a way of bringing people together and reflecting and thinking about who was your Big Mama. So not quite that wild person that Martin Lawrence came with.
I'm so glad you asked
but sometimes they did wear those big moo dresses.
My grandma Bertie or Bertha, she always that was her comfy clothes.
And those slide slippers.
And they can throw them.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, the other thing about my Big Mama, this sounds like abuse today, but when your tooth was loose as a child, she would put a string around the tooth and put it on the doorknob and say, hey, baby, look.
That's all of us.
Where's my tooth?
Yeah.
Okay, that's your Big Mama.
Yeah.
But the name, fantastic marketing because I think of the movie, but it's got this amazing meaning behind it. You're talking about that. I'm thinking about my mom, and I'm getting chills, and you can't see it or hear these chills, but I have them.
Yeah, and the minute you said the big moo yeah, my grandma Birdie, man, she had multiple, a bunch of them.
Yeah.
I bought this one in Hawaii when I saw Elvis. Like, oh, wow.
Yeah, something about those comforts. And now that everybody's zooming, we all got our comfort clothes, don't we?
That's
now,
right.
You got a nice top shirt on, but you're still in your sweatpants because nobody else sees anything else.
I got some dope sweats too, man. I love them.
On a more serious note, I got an espresso machine for Christmas, and I cannot make a good espresso or a latte. Yeah, that's right.
Well, you can go. You can come here and get one.
Can't.
They'll make it good.
You don't make it at home. You come to Big Momma's. What is the secret to good coffee?
The La Marzocco espresso machine, handmade in Italia, in Italy, my friend. No, you actually can make. If you got the right quality espresso machine, you can make some decent. But you have to know how to put that. First of all, do you have good espresso?
Probably not.
So if you're just getting some discount, you really need to make sure you got a good espresso bean.
The good bean.
Good bean, and then also, espresso. You want to use it when it's fresh. So
don't let it sit out.
It's not, but I'm saying you also don't keep your espresso beans for months and then
and use them.
Right.
Yeah. So you really need to ask yourself: are you a daily espresso person? Because that's what you should be. Like, think about what I said about Europeans. If you have an espresso on Saturday, you don't need an espresso machine.
Yeah.
You got to rethink that purchase now.
Probably not.
Because your beans are not going to be fresh and you're not going to have the right quality.
It takes time to make something good, too. You can't just rush it. And so sometimes in the morning, I'm like, gotta go.
Yeah. I know of a great coffee and espresso bar that you can go to.
That?
Big Mommas.
Big Mommas.
Yeah. And you know what? There's no drama when you get your Java with Big Mama.
No drama. Big Mama.
Just a lot of fun.
Get your Java.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. That's also an energy and a secret to also. I went to coffee college.
That's awesome.
And I thought they were just like on some kind of mushrooms or something. But they were like, they were actually telling me, you need to care for your espresso machine and you need to have a positive energy. And they were saying your energy could affect your espresso. I was like, what kind of
are you crazy?
Smoke? Yeah. But what they meant is almost like when your mom and your grandma say they made stuff with love.
Oh.
They were saying that literally when you use that espresso machine, you really want to be in a positive frame because this guy was saying it really affected the quality. So you want to approach your espresso with love, like good morning, espresso.
Don't
beans.
be mad at it.
Yeah,
treat it like your wife.
I love you today. I'm looking so forward to the fragrance. It's kind of like our indigenous folks when they kill something, they actually thank Mother Earth.
And they use everything.
Give appreciation.
Yeah, your appreciation. Yeah. So it's like, I honor my espresso beans. You're getting my day started. So it's kind of like you caressed it. So even here, I was like, so we try to say positive because we want energy. We want a good energy. I mean, if you've ever been to a place and everybody's mad, do you want to eat there?
You leave mad.
No, unless it's Ed DeBevick's. That's the only time I want to go somewhere where they're rude to me.
Yeah. So we used to do all kinds of like when people come first time, almost like something you do in one of these bars, like welcome to Big Mommas, and we do like a welcome.
They'll remember it.
Yeah, because it's like we want to have a positive and memorable experience, and the world has enough pain and suffering. So go pat your espresso machine. Like people say they talk to their plants. They say, "I love you, espresso."
Please get that right pressure.
Yeah, your wife. Your wife is going to say, "Huh?
What is wrong
like,
with
this
him?
I love you. Good night, espresso. I'll see you in the morning."
Yeah,
Big Mama changed my mind. Well, Lyle, Mr. Lyle Foster, episode 23, the Local Lifestyle Podcast. Once again, it is no drama when you drink Java with Big Mama.
Hey.
This has been the most entertaining.
Yeah.
Why don't you give us one more? Give me one more of those little raps that you got of the no drama.
No drama. Big Mama, get your Java. No drama. Big Mama, get your Java. No drama. Big Mama.
Oh, you stayed it up.
Get your Java.
You need to start doing performances.
There's a huge crowd in here. I don't know if you can hear it. Episode 23, Lyle Foster. Thank you so much for sitting down with this Local Lifestyle Podcast. Big Mama's Coffee and Espresso Bar on C Street. Make sure you come support them. Check them out. It is a great time. And hey, if you bring up the Local Lifestyle Podcast, I'm sure he might even sing that for you.
All right.